Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, that will take us to around the 13th of October. So we're already beginning to head towards the middle part of the month with the week to 10 day video updates. Now, we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. That may run to around a couple of weeks. Of course, takes into the second half of October. Have a look at Service V2 as usual at the end of video for the next 4 weeks. The October month-end forecast has been released, so going for quite an unsettled October this time. A little on the cool side as well, but a different sort of flavour, complexion to the weather than we've had in October for a few years, I think. Could be quite an unsettled month. But have a look at the October month-end forecast and see what we're going for there. Right then, so get on with it. You start off with the FACTS chart, which is the human interpretation of models by forecasters at the UK Met Office. This is the FACTS chart for 6 AM tomorrow morning. This area of low pressure just here across Ireland, that is in fact the remains of Hurricane Lorenzo. So for several days now, we've been talking about Hurricane Lorenzo. We have lost the hurricane. Now it's just developed into an area of low pressure, quite a big area of low pressure though. We'll be bringing some strong winds to Ireland, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland tonight. And then tomorrow those winds could transfer a little bit more towards sort of southwest Wales and southwest England. Gusts could go up to around 60 miles an hour tonight, so up to gale force across parts of Ireland. Not going to be a particularly windy night elsewhere, though, and these weather fronts are going to be pushing across the country through the course of tonight, bringing outbreaks of rain. So it will be rain on and off through the course of tonight, but it will be a much warmer night compared to the cold night that we had last night. This is the radar picture from GavsWeatherVision.com. And you can see that there's already some quite heavy rain associated with the remains of Lorenzo into parts of western, southwest of Scotland. Also some quite heavy rain through Northern Ireland and increasingly down through the Irish Sea into the west of Wales and into southwestern England too. These fingers of rain are going to carry on pushing northwards and eastwards across the country through this evening and overnight, bringing most of us some outbreaks of rain through the course of tonight and tomorrow morning. And then things will dry up through the course of tomorrow. Plenty more wet weather still to come though over the weekend and probably even well into next week. And now this is a view of the tropical Atlantic from the National Hurricane Centre. Things have become a lot quieter now, the quietest that they have been for a few weeks actually. We just have one disturbance area, this yellow X just here in the Caribbean. That is disturbance 1, only with only a 0% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and only a 20% chance in the next 5 days. It doesn't look as though that disturbance area is going to do a great deal. Otherwise, as I say, things have gone much quieter for the time being in the tropical Atlantic. We should keep a close eye on any further developments. We've still got time for storms. It's only the 3rd of October, while September tends to be the peak of these hurricane seasons. We do often see storms and hurricanes through October, sometimes even into early November. So probably got another month before we can say that the season is starting to draw to a close. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if there are further developments in the next 2 or 3 weeks anyway. We shall see. Centering temperature, now I showed you this yesterday. We had the CET yesterday above 13 degrees. It's dropped a lot for the 2nd, so we are now provisional for October up to the 2nd of October. So on the 1st of October, we had the CET coming in over 13 degrees, well above average, but much lower now, taking into account yesterday's chilly temperatures. CET only stands at 11.0. That's an anomaly for the time of year of 1 degree, just over 1 degree below average, and that could drop further actually once today is taken into account, or it will drop further once today is taken into account, because there was a cold night last night with a pretty widespread frost, and today's temperatures are really struggling under the cloudy skies ahead of ex-hurricane Lorenzo. So the upshot is, I wouldn't be at all surprised if that's down into the tens when it updates tomorrow. Quite a chilly start to October, also quite an unsettled start to October. So these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolated high pressure, blue to low pressure. These are the mean flow charts for the next week to 10 days. So this is taking us up to the 13th of October. The ECM has this area of high pressure up to our northwest, so that's a blocking area of high pressure up to the northwest, and then it has a deep area of low pressure over and to the east of the country, and this of course is sending the jet stream southwards. So we've got an active jet stream with a deep trough of low pressure, but it's not a typical sort of zonal southwest to northeast flow. This it's actually pulling in quite cool air into that trough of low pressure from the north. So rather than being mild, wet and windy, I would say that is pretty cool and potentially quite wet and maybe at times windy. So it's not a classic sort of zonal type spell such as we normally expect in a typical October. The GFS is very similar, so again we've got this mid-Atlantic ridge through the middle of the Atlantic extending back towards high pressure over Greenland and into the Arctic, and then we've got this deep trough of low pressure that's sinking down through the UK and western parts of Europe as well. We're on the cool side of the jet stream with that, and looking unsettled and cool. We're probably pushing in quite cool air, maybe even fairly coldish air into that trough of low pressure. So definitely very autumnal, quite cool and unsettled up towards the middle of October. The GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking like this from the GFS the next 2 weeks. The red line here is 30-year upper air temperature average, so quite close to average over the next few days. And then through the course of next week, generally, if anything, it's cooling down. The temperatures are dropping through the second week of October. Into the middle part of the month, there is quite a bit of scatter. So we do have some warmer ensemble members, these ones up here, but of course we've got these ones down here as well, they're cooler. So overall, I think it looks like a relatively cool first half to September, I have to say, and it continues to be, as it has been throughout, an unsettled signal with regular rainfall spikes pretty much from beginning to end. I mean, there's no, other than this period just here, which is very wet, and that's over the weekend. That's kind of Saturday into Sunday when a weather system gets stuck on the eastern side of the country. That does look very wet. Other than that, there's no exceptionally wet spell of weather. It just looks very unsettled with regular showers or longer spells of rain coming through and pretty cool temperatures as well. Temperature anomalies from the 3rd to the 11th of October are close to or possibly a little bit below average, particularly for northern parts of the country. Not a big deviation. You'll notice most parts of Europe, though, looking quite cold, particularly up to Scandinavia. Precipitation anomalies from the 3rd to the 11th of October are overall wetter than average still, so it does look like a relatively cool and unsettled week ahead with above average rainfall and temperatures no better than around average, really. So this is how the GFS is looking for Sunday. Now, this is 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Now, we will have a weather system that gets stuck across the country Saturday into Sunday. That could bring quite a lot of rain with it. But it is becoming stuck by this area of high pressure over Scandinavia. It's kind of like blocking its progress across the country. So that does potentially bring a little bit of a deluge to the eastern side of the country late Saturday. And then lasting through much of Sunday, the rain eventually pushes away into France, slips away to our south. But I reckon there could be an inch of rain with that, some eastern parts of the country, Saturday night and into Sunday morning. By Monday, the high pressure is having a go at taking over across Scandinavia, but we've got this next area of low pressure in the Atlantic. That's looking like a pretty intense one, and that's going to send another active weather system. Set of weather fronts into the country. So more rain coming across the country early next week, followed by this cool west-north-westerly wind. And certainly through the middle part of the week, looking very showery, really low pressure centre north of Scotland. Strong west-north-westerly winds feeding in. Lots of heavy showers, particularly to northern and western parts of the country. And we keep these unsettled and showery conditions going as we move up towards day 10. So this is Saturday the 12th of October. Trying to get a little bit of a ridge going across France, but we've got this area of low pressure out to the west of Ireland. The suggestion really is just that it's staying quite unsettled as we head up towards the middle part of the month. The low is beginning to move southwards with time. It is starting to pull up some slightly warmer air from the south, so it's got that going for it, but it's still unsettled really. Low pressure is in control of this and will bring further showers, if not longer spells of rain. Just a hint, perhaps, by the time we end this GFS run on Saturday the 19th of October, but we might be starting to build up some high pressure to our northeast. We might start to pull in some drier and relatively warm air from the south or southeast, but of course that's a very long way off, and before that it does look really quite unsettled. This is how the GEM is looking. So again, we've got this front stuck across the country on Sunday. That's going to bring quite a bit of wet weather, particularly through eastern parts of the country. And then early next week, it's staying very unsettled. Low pressure continues to move in from off the Atlantic. Tightly packed isobars as well early next week. So not only will it be unsettled and showery, the wind will be getting up as well, becoming quite windy. And there could be gales in the far northwestern corner. Temperatures won't be particularly exciting either. And we keep this Atlantic train of low pressures going right the way up to day 10. That's how we're looking as we get to day 10, which is Sunday, 13th of October. Very unsettled. Low pressure, again, is well and truly in control. You will notice that heights are rising towards Greenland as well around day 10. So, of course, that's trying to pull colder air into this area of low pressure. So up to the middle part of October it looks unsettled, and potentially the GEM is trying to turn the wind into the north by the time we get to day 10. The ECM is looking like that. The front is stuck across the country at midnight on Sunday, out of the way by Monday, but more low pressure comes sweeping in from off the Atlantic through the early part of next week, and then that sets us up into a very unsettled spell through next week with heavy showers brought in on these west-northwesterly winds. There could be disturbances in the westerly flow, so we might see some longer spells of rain getting going as well. End of next week, low pressure is centred over Scotland at 980 millibars. Again, looks really unsettled, quite windy, showers or longer spells of rain, winds coming in from the northwest, so it's bound to be quite cool. And up to day 10, that's how looking. Very similar to what the GEM is showing, actually, increasing the heights towards Greenland. Lots of high pressure going up to the south of Greenland and around Iceland. Unsettled, yes, low pressure is still in control of the weather, so showers, if not longer spells of rain, but it's not the typical west to southwesterly, north to northeasterly sort of October unsettled weather pattern that you might generally expect. It's a much more blocked type weather pattern, which is forcing the jet stream and the trough further south. So rather than being mild and wet, as we tend to associate October with, it's actually quite cool and wet at times and unsettled. So it's an interesting weather pattern, this, and it does look as though the models are increasingly shifting towards something rather more blocked as we head further into October. Hints of high latitude blocking coming back, which of course is something that we've seen quite a lot of over the past few months, really since the spring. We've been seeing regular periods of high latitude blocking, high pressures around Greenland, Iceland, sometimes Scandinavia, sometimes even back into the North Pole of the Arctic itself. Has been a semi-recurring pattern, and it looks like that's the way the model output is shifting towards as we head up towards the middle part of October anyway. We shall keep you posted. based on that, ECMWF is this precipitation forecast from tameteo.com. So this is rainfall forecast for today. You see the remains of Lorenzo out to west of Ireland. I've got outbreaks of rain spreading in across Ireland. Through, of course, this afternoon. Into receding, that rain pushes across the country. Most of us will have some wet weather tonight from the remains of rain. So, and then another pulse of rain slips down across England and Wales through the course of tomorrow. Then we go drier overnight, Friday night into Saturday. Might be some mist and fog patches. And then in comes the next batch of wet weather through the course of Saturday. This one is a bit slower moving, so it takes a while to shift it over towards the eastern side of the country. But it is sort of grinding to a halt here as we go through the course of Sunday. So particularly Sunday morning could be very wet across many central eastern parts of the country with persistent and heavy outbreaks of rain. Will be too surprising if an inch of rain is possible there through some parts of the country overnight Saturday and into Sunday. The rain slipping away to the south, you'll notice. So by the time we get through to Monday, we'll probably start Monday on quite a dry and cold note, but more rain is piling in from off the Atlantic. This one does weaken quite a lot as it comes in on Monday, so rain becomes quite light and patchy in the southeast, but it's heavier in the north. Then the rain actually could pep up a bit in the southeast overnight, Monday into Tuesday. Then the rest of next week is really dominated by that big area of low pressure to the north of Scotland, which feeds in sunshine and showers. Showers could merge into longer spells of rain, and they're most likely in the north and west, but driest weather with that would always be on the eastern side of the country. Another area of low pressure piling in there on the 10th of October. That's bringing more heavy rain to many parts of the country. We're into the extended range now, moving up towards day 10. It just looks quite unsettled up to day 10 with low pressure never far away and more showers to come. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. Which gets us to the 13th of October. We have 18 members of the ECM ensembles with a mid-Atlantic ridge. High pressure going up towards Greenland. Low pressure is out to the west and northwest of the country. And it means we're doing something a bit like that with flow, with the jet stream. We look unsettled with those 13, definitely. Another 10 with a deep trough over the top of the country. High pressure again through the mid-Atlantic into Greenland. That's entrenching quite cold air into that trough of low pressure. 7 with low pressure to our east, and high pressure is out to the west. That will pull in quite cool northwesterly winds. 6, including the control and the operational ECM run, the operational being run that we're just looking at. Again, unsettled mid-Atlantic ridge going up to Greenland. A trough of low pressure is over and to the east of the country. Again, unsettled and cool with those. These 5 just here look very similar. Again, mid-Atlantic ridge, high pressure going up towards Greenland, and low pressure as a deep trough is over top of the country. The 5 that we have just here, very minority option, but those 5 are a drier, high pressure dominated option. But they're very much in the minority. It looks like most of those ECM ensemble members want us to be cool and very unsettled as we head to the 13th of October. And then into 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Take us into the second half of October, actually up to the 18th of October, which is 360 hours away. 19 members of the ECM ensembles with a ridge out to the west up to Greenland. Low pressure is to our east. Settling down, but pretty cool and chilly. You wouldn't rule out chance of some frost with that. 12 with high pressure to our north. We're going over to Scandinavia. Will feed in easterly winds. They could be quite cool, of course, at this time of year. 10 with an area of high pressure sort of over the top of the country. That's probably the most settled option. Again, not guaranteed to be overly warm. And then these 10 just here look more unsettled with low pressure over top of the country and a mid-Atlantic ridge. It looks as though by the middle into second half of October, ECM ensembles want to start to settle things down a bit But up to the middle part of October, looking very cool and also very unsettled potentially. These are the CFS V2 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly periods. The first week period will take us from the 3rd through to the 9th of October, and the coming week looks quite unsettled. Low pressures out to west and also to the east. We've got a ridge down to our southwest. Let's change the colour. Ridge down to our southwest and up towards the Arctic. So I think overall just quite an unsettled week coming up in the week ahead, and not particularly warm either. Week 2 is the 10th to the 16th of October, with a trough of low pressure over Scandinavia, a ridge out to our west, and doing something like that with the jet streams on a northwest-southeast trajectory. I would have thought quite unsettled again, and rather on the cool side as well. Week 3 shows low, which is the 17th to 23rd of October, shows low pressure over Greenland, Iceland, high pressure out to our west, probably doing something a bit like that with the flow. There's no trough over Europe, but I would have thought there's likely to be a trough through here. So probably not quite as unsettled, but still a little bit changeable, let's say, and not particularly warm. And then all change in week 4, which is the 24th to the 30th of October, as high pressure builds to our east and northeast, would turn the winds around to kind of a southeasterly, possibly even a little bit of an easterly. If we looked at the temperature anomaly, which we won't, but if we did, I'm sure the CFS would show a warmer than average week there. But with high pressure centred over Scandinavia, it's not that straightforward, and certainly by night could be pretty cold, depending on the exact origins of the air. So this is looking like an unsettled first half to October. We've talked about this in videos a lot. It does look like a rather different sort of first half to October we'll be used to for quite a while. Expect unsettled conditions with showers or longer spells of rain, and temperatures could be rather cool at times as well. Bit of a question mark about the second half of the month. I suspect we probably will have a greater chance of building up some ridging around the middle and second half of October, but whether it actually comes to anything remains to be seen. I have to say, I still think this October shaping up to be pretty unsettled. We shall see. And tomorrow we've got JMA Friday coming up, of course. That'll be your month-ahead look ahead, taking us through the next 4 weeks with the Japanese and CFS B2Rs, and of course having a week 10-day video update as well for you then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.